All right, it's 12:03 and I'm kind of an impatient person, so I'm going to kick it off. Welcome to everybody. I'm Abby Berryman. I am a Senior Vice President of Client Partnerships at NBC Universal, and I am also a Board of Directors member on the Adcraft Club of Detroit. So on behalf of all of the Board of Directors, we want to thank you for your support. Our club, as you know, is 114 years old, being the oldest advertising association in the country. And we've remained a vital part of the Detroit community because of members like you. So thank you for being here. As a nonprofit, we do rely on the support of our members. So please make sure to remember to renew your membership once you get that email reminding you to do so. And if you're not yet an Adcraft member and you're joining us today, we hope you consider joining us. It only takes a few minutes. Just go and visit adcraft.org. And with that, I just want to say how excited I am to join and lead today's edition of our day show, Tuesday Talk. Personally, as an employee of NBC Universal, it's a true honor to introduce two of our most beloved and wildly popular talent and Olympic athletes, Mike Tirico and Kerri Walsh Jennings. We've all been through a lot this year, feeling the effects of COVID, both personally and for some of us professionally. And so as events were canceled one by one, we all kind of held our breath, hoping that the Olympics would stick around and would actually happen so we'd have something to look forward to. We know how that turned out, but we truly cannot wait for the games, which have not been canceled, only postponed till July of 2021 in Tokyo. And it's believed that this will represent a global healing celebration, really bringing the entire world together for the first time post-pandemic in only a way that an event this massive can. We'll have 3 billion live event video minutes that viewers can tune in and root for their favorite athletes like Kerri Walsh Jennings on any screen. And although Mike and Kerri won't focus on this today, I also want to note, in a world where diversity and inclusion, we should all be mindful of diversity and inclusion, NBCU is committed not only to the Olympics, but also the Paralympic movement through 2032. So in addition to the Olympic Games, NBCU will present more than 1,500 hours of Paralympic coverage on TV and digital platforms. And with that, I just want to share a quick video to launch us into our discussion today.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. You've been searching in the dark, sweat soaking through the floor. And buried in your bones, there's an ache that you can't ignore. Taking your breath, stealing your mind, and all that was real is left behind. Don't fight it, it's coming for you, running at you. It's only this moment, don't get what comes after. Get out of shining anything that you know. Just surrender, 'cause it's coming and you wanna go. Where it's covered in all the coloring lights, where the runaways are running the night. After it comes true, it's not forgetting you. We look it up, we won't go down. The walls can't stop us now. What did it gonna do? It's taking over you.
So again, with great honor, I'd love to introduce our guests for today. As you'll recall from other Tuesday Talk series, we have been focusing on connected by craft as a theme, really digging into the journey that each of our guests have been on to get where they are today. So first, our moderator. Though the Olympics were postponed until 2021, NBC's Olympic primetime host Mike Tirico has been incredibly busy. With a condensed sports season, Mike has taken on what Variety has called a sportscaster's decathlon, covering everything from the Kentucky Derby to the Indianapolis 500 to the NFL, all the while making it as easy like no one else can, making it look easy like no one else can. And he took the time to join us today. Kerri Walsh Jennings is an American professional beach volleyball player, 5-time Olympian and 3-time Olympic gold medalist. She's an inspiration for all generations, and we have loved watching her grow into the athlete, the mom, and the businesswoman that she is today. And we can't wait to root for her again in 2021. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike and Kerri.
There we are. Hi. I don't know where my video went, but I hope you can hear me and see me now. It's great to be with everyone, and welcome. And it is so good, Kerri, to see you again. You guys have to excuse the two of us here because we like to chit chat, so we kind of forget other people might be watching or listening. We've done that on TV, so we'll do it here. How are you? Where are you? What's going on, Kerri?
Mike, I miss you. I'm in Lake Tahoe. My family and I moved from Manhattan Beach, moved from the beach to the mountains with all of this new perspective that we've gained through COVID. Life is beautiful. Everyone is happy and healthy. Our kids are in the classroom, which is sanity for all of us. But life is beautiful. You know, different location, but same dream. So life is good.
I'm sure there are a lot of people shaking their heads up and down, talking about the sanity if you have kids in school, because I know so many of us in Metro Detroit don't. I'm in our NBC bureau in Ann Arbor, which opened up when the pandemic started. That bureau is also known as the corner of my home office. So it's just been different times. From this corner of the world, seriously, the corner office in the house, I have interviewed the head of the IOC, athletes like Kerri around the world, head coaches in football and NBA. It's just been such a strange time. We've all adjusted and adapted. And I want to hear from you, because what people don't realize, Kerri, is that when you are an Olympian, you're focused on a specific finish line. Like for years, you're focused on that. Who's my partner? Where am I going to train? Who's going to coach? All that stuff. And then that just got pulled right away. What did that do to upset your apple cart and have you put the apples back in the cart?
You know, Mike, what a good question. And I think depending on the day, my answer might change a little bit. I'm having a good day. So I have a good lens on looking at this. But, ultimately, almost immediately, Mike, when we realized that this was going down and that the Olympics were going to be postponed, best case, canceled, worst case, I think it was such a global dilemma and there was so much uncertainty and unknown that the decision made sense. And if something makes sense in my heart and my mind, I can literally handle anything. It's the things that don't resonate that I'm confused about that really get me going,
Mm-hmm.
And so when they decided to postpone, it was like, okay, we have no choice. It is what it is. We have to accept reality. And how can we make this, work to our advantage? And to be honest with you, the past months since March, I have been going on this like really deep dive emotionally and mentally, like unloading all of this baggage, because what I realized once they hit pause in the Olympics is that I wasn't going to win because I was so stressed and so tense. I was so physically ready to go and compete, but mentally I was a nightmare. And so the perspective that I got once the pressure of competing in 2020 went away was the most beautiful gift for me mentally and emotionally. And as you know, the best of the best in the world in any arena are the best here. And they're the most grounded here. And I wasn't that prior to COVID happening. So this has only been a blessing for me, a lot of challenges within it. But as an athlete, it's my duty to find the blessing in everything and to act like I chose it. And so we're just thriving at this point athletically.
So when you did that unpacking emotionally, and I think a lot of us have, although maybe we haven't recognized it or verbalized it,
right.
What'd you find that you said, you know what? I'm going to be okay. Whether it's Olympics in 2021, whether it's I don't make the team, whether it's I start a business, what'd you find out there that you said, you know what, I can grab this and make myself a better me going forward?
Well, it's just, I feel like that's my duty in life, is to always become a better me. I was raised with Kerri, no excuses, whatever you get, you handle it to the best of your ability and be totally accountable. And so when I'm unpacking all of these things, I just really started to realize like how gnarly and negative my inner critic was and how I was chasing this idea of perfection that is never attainable. And that was keeping me small. All I want in life, Mike, is to feel free. I want to feel free on the court so I can just adapt and dance whatever's thrown to me. I want to feel free in my life because I know who I am and I know where I want to go. And that means I have to be so in the moment and just so just in myself. And I wasn't in myself. I was literally playing, and I've been to 5 Olympics, right? And I've lived one Olympic cycle where I was literally only focused on the end result. And that was in 2008. Misty and I won everything on the lead up. We won the gold medal, but my life fell apart. And I was kind of in that same track going to Tokyo. Like, I was just so afraid of losing and not qualifying that I was suffocating my life. And so I'm free. And there's been a lot of tears, a lot of weird things, a lot of shame that I lived through Rio, winning bronze and feeling like that was my fault, letting down my country, letting down myself. So I had to unpack all of that. And this, perspective change is the only reason why really you change things in life, because you see it from a different angle. And so it's been amazing. It's been messy, a lot of ugly crying, but ultimately a lot of victory and coming to terms with who I am, what I want, and why I want it. If you have a good why, I can suffer anything,
See, this is exactly what I was talking about a few minutes ago, because I've got like questions here, and we're already gone. We're way off the question list because we've gone. Good, it's good. It's good. I love that. That's why you're one of my favorite interviews of all time, because you bring an energy to everything you do. So let me go backwards here for a minute for the folks who only will see you as you cross an Olympic cycle, or they put on beach volleyball on a summer weekend or things like that. Let me just go back to the introduction. 5 Olympic Games, 4 Olympic medals, 3 gold medals. Right there, that's one of the great athletic careers of anyone who's ever walked the land of our country, right? But for you, the journey is so unique and different, because it starts not in the sand in beach volleyball where you're an all-time legend, but it starts in indoor volleyball. Can you just take everyone who doesn't know your story that well back to your days at Stanford, and how this path started all the way through to where it's ended up there in Lake Tahoe?
Oh my goodness. Well, hell, how long?
I was going to say, just do it in like a minute real quick. If you
All
don't
right.
mind.
Oh, I'm not good at that. I'm so wordy. Okay. Well, I grew up in the Bay Area. I fell in love with volleyball when I was 10 years old. Prior to that, I played everything. After that, I played high school basketball and volleyball, but volleyball was my true love. First huge big dream come true was getting a scholarship to Stanford University, a university we both love, and being surrounded by excellence. And, it's the home of champions. It really just fortified something in me. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm going to win. And if you know my parents, then you know that that's my DNA anyway. And so indoor was my first love. I played it for 12 years. My first Olympics was in 2000, where I represented Team USA for the first time in indoor volleyball. We finished 4th place. Talk about fuel to the fire. I thought, bronze was very motivating, and that's why I'm still going to Tokyo. I got that stick in my craw, but, winning 4th, and playing for a medal, it was so humbling, so honoring, but it really left me wanting more. And then I made my way to the beach after indoor. It was in Sydney where Misty, my partner for 3 Olympics, and I kind of got together and started talking about the potentials of playing beach volleyball together. So Sydney was a disappointing performance because we got 4th, but it was, my first Olympic experience. It was so beautiful, so fortifying, and it led me on this journey of, 4 more Olympic Games after that, 4 on the beach, which I never thought I'd play beach volleyball because, my ego was too big and I didn't want to even try. But, Misty May was looking for a partner. I was, willing to look like an idiot, and I went for my dreams. And because of that, I'm still going. I love the journey so much, Mike, like you said. On the back of my Olympic gold medal from Athens, it says, in ancient Greek, it says, it's about the journey, not the destination. And literally when I first got that, I'm like, that is literal nonsense. Like, that's for everyone who doesn't win a medal. And what an a-hole thing to say. Like, literally, it's everything, because the journey prepares you. And the destination is just the excuse to go on the journey, because the journey is one of becoming. And that's why I'm so excited for Tokyo. I'm so curious to see the woman, the athlete I have to become in order to make my dreams come true. It's like such a gift.
All right, I'm going to park a question here and just go back to your beach career. You mentioned Misty May Trainer, one of your great successful partners with the 3 you talked about. You've had 2 other partners since, April Ross and now Brooke Sweat for the 2020, now 2021 games. When you leave indoor volleyball. Here you are, you're a member of a team, 6 on the court at a time, and obviously subs and all of that. And in beach volleyball, it's just you and one other person. That's a real spin in dynamics because it's not like tennis or golf where it's an individual sport, yet you are 50% of the team. A lot of us who are watching here today work in team settings and collaborative settings. What's the magic of maximizing you and maximizing the person you're working with for sacrifice along the way to get to the ultimate destination that you may not be exactly in lockstep with that person, but you know if you can kind of meet them along the way, you're going to get there and get to the max for both of you to output?
Man, well, first of all, I've had the most beautiful women in the world to chase my dreams with, Misty, April, Brooke, and a few in between there when injuries popped up. And the gift of my life has been the personal growth through my sport, but more than that, it's been the relationships that I've had. And I'm still married because I learned how to be in a relationship on the volleyball court. Like going from 6, one of a herd, to 2, like you said, it's like the ultimate team sport because you are so individually responsible and rely, you need to be self-reliant, but I also have to be so dependent and so vulnerable with my partner. And I think that's where the magic happens. When the partnership has a foundation of respect, they have a foundation of belief in what they can do and who they can become together, and they stick with it through it all. With Misty and I think the magic of us is that we were so opposite. We never try to make each other like each other, ever. So we accepted each other as we were, and we really worked to inspire each other to be better together. And one of my favorite books of all time, it's called Lead Yourself First. And it goes about all the great leaders in history in wartime around the world and why they were able to lead legions and armies and teams to victory is because they held themselves so personally accountable that they were able to call you out, Mike. You're not showing up today. I can't call you out if I'm not carrying my own weight. And I think the best teams, each individual knows they are a craftsman, knows they are a leader, even if they don't start all the time. We can all take up space. And so I think that one, it's an inside job. You have to have confidence in yourself, know you belong there, take up the space that you have. And then as a team, you're a team of leaders and the leadership is fluid and you keep your eye on the prize and you're nimble in the way you get there. And I've had that great luxury with Misty for over 10 years, with April for sure. And moving forward with Brooke, we're on the same path. It's really fun.
Don't you need to find somebody who can call you out if you're a leader and you're going to call them out? But you've got to be comfortable with being called out, right? I'm just thinking of the folks who are working on a campaign together here who might be watching, or the people who lead in their group. You want to be a leader. Sometimes you're a leader because you're the best at what you're doing, but you also have to be vulnerable enough to be willing to have the people surrounding you call you out to help make you better. Otherwise, we don't grow as teams when we're trying to work together.
100%. You have to own your stuff. That's why if you lead yourself first, that conversation won't come as a surprise to you. Because you're honest with yourself. It's like the man in the mirror, but I think the best relationships it's a reciprocal give and take, and we're all mirrors for each other, so absolutely but also when you're speaking that truth, when you're calling someone else, like my goal forevermore, Mike, is to speak my truth with compassion. But to do it in the moment, take a deep breath and to know what I'm seeing and what makes me uncomfortable. Because resentment, what I learned, Mike, is literally your brain saying there's something left unsaid. You need to say it. You're feeling resentment or anger or frustration. And it takes a strong person to speak to these things because we don't want to be jerks. We don't want to be critical. But if it's for the greater good and it's to engage with your team, you have to have those tough conversations. The winningest teams have those tough conversations, and they love each other and respect each other enough to do that. If I don't really care, if I don't really believe, I'm not going to think it's worth my time to have this tough conversation because it's like, I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but we have to hold each other accountable in a way that allows each other to hear each other too. But again, if you hold yourself accountable, then everyone's going to see that leaders are consistent. They're not inconsistent in their energy, their attitude, or their output. And if you're a leader and you're hitting those 3 things, then you can, it's your job to lead. It's your job to have those uncomfortable conversations respectfully.
That's really, really, really good perspective. You've been around the Olympic movement for over 20 years now. What is the power of the Olympics from the perspective of an Olympic athlete?
I mean, it fuels my life, Mike. You know, I've lived in quadrennials, I mean, since high school, really. You know, like every 4 years, there's this major graduation or this major event. You know, I've said this before, and it's so true for me, and it's so cheesy, but it's so true. Like, I am made of the Christmas spirit, I am made of the American spirit, and I am made of the Olympic spirit. And what beautiful, you know, things to be fueled by. And, you know, as Abby was introducing us, like, there's nothing like the Olympics in all the world. You know, it's the most beautiful, powerful unifier. It's not perfect, but it's just the pure positive energy that comes from watching the games, or just the anticipation of the games, is something that I've never known. And for me as a woman, you know, pursuing my best that is yet to come, it gets me out of bed every day when I don't want to get out of bed. You know, representing our country is the gift of a lifetime. And, you know, it fires me up.
You know, I've been lucky to cover a lot of sporting events, and after 25 years at ESPN, I'm now 5 years at NBC. And 2016 was my first games in Rio, and it was going so fast. I was only with NBC for a few weeks, and I was taking it all in. It was like a fire hose, that whole deal. And then 2018 was my first opportunity, following Bob Costas, to host the primetime games, and that means you do the opening ceremony. And I've always believed in what the Olympics were about and everything else, but Kerri, when I was at the opening ceremony, then it just really hit me with like the big old 2x4 over the head. And I say it every time somebody asks me about the Olympics: there is nothing like the Olympic Games. Because it struck me at that point that some dude in Uzbekistan was doing the same thing that somebody in Lake Placid was doing. They were trying to train to be the absolute best, pushing a bobsled or jumping on a luge by tenths, hundredths of a second. And then they were going to compete, as you said, in that quadrennial training period, and go someplace halfway around the world and compete against each other to see who's the best in the world, and then go back to your life. Like there's nothing like that. There's somebody on a beach in Brazil who is inspired by Kerri and wants to beat your butt in the sand in 2021 in Tokyo. And where else is that happening? And when you think about that and you see all these athletes collectively come together for something like the opening ceremony, it does stop you. And it really, I get a chill just talking about it. That's the power of the Olympics that I think we're reminded of every 4 years or every 2 years, if you look at the Winter Games as well, when that comes back around. And as an athlete, I'm curious, when you see all those athletes at the opening ceremony or a closing ceremony, what does that do for you as somebody who's a part of that big stew of competition?
Mike, it's the coolest experience ever. It's so humbling. I mean, you see people as tall as a house. You see people barely 5 feet tall, as wide as a house, like as skinny as a stick, and they're all the best in the world. You know, like you get to see God's creations on display, and it's so powerful. Walking around the village is just next level, like goosebumps the entire time. And as you were talking, I have tears in my eyes. Like, it's just the most amazing thing. You know, prior to every opening ceremonies, we all gather together in our interesting uniforms, you know, and you gather together as Team USA. And that is like one of my most favorite experiences, that like my heart is racing right now thinking about it. And then you go to the holding area, and then you wait to go into the Olympic Stadium, and every country before, you know, United States of America is marching in, and you just get to people watch and witness, like you're surrounded by greatness, and there's this energy that is tangible. And then to walk in as Team USA and the arena goes crazy, it's like game on. You know, it's so, I wish everyone could have that feeling, you know, because it is so special. And, you know, it's just, you have to be a warrior to get there. And so when you look around and when you're walking around village and you're just looking at these athletes and you know they've been through hell, you know, there's all sorts of different hell and heaven on earth, and it's all of our own making, but you realize the sacrifice, because you don't just show up there. And that is the most powerful thing. You know, it's just A, never judge a book by its cover, and B, respect everyone, because everyone's going through something. And if they land on that top of the mountain, it's because they fought and clawed to be there. It's really, really powerful.
So do you think, because of all that we've been through, sometimes divisive within our country, globally painful to everybody, do you think because of all that's happened, if we get to July of 2021, do you think it will be a different feeling opening ceremony, a different feeling Olympics if it happens?
Well, let's change that if to when.
That's Kerri. I knew you were going to do that.
Don't piss me off, Mike. Yeah, I think it's gonna be times 10. Like the Olympics prior to this, they've all been perfect in their ways. And it's just one more year of anticipation and expectation. For the athletes, certainly, we're going to be even more like caged lions. For the world, yes, we are going to need a healing event. We're going to need something that is literally just all about the pursuit and enjoying and rejoicing in people's excellence and in their hearts and their spirits. So yeah, it's going to be next level. I cannot wait to participate. And I know a lot's going to change, between now and then. Hopefully it's all good, but the unifying, I think experience that the Olympics always is just going to be next level. And I can't wait.
So this is fun because I've asked this question a couple of times, and the first couple of times I asked it, I kind of tiptoed around it, and now I don't have to tiptoe around it because we've dealt with it. Okay, we've crossed this bridge. So you're not a 22-year-old trying to make the Olympics. You got a lot of life going on. You got kids. You were just, before we all hooked up with everybody else here, you were getting your kids' hair done, ready to get them off to their day. You've got a lot of life going on.
Yeah.
It also is really hard to get physically better at a sport as you get older. It's just a fact. How does the 1 year impact your reality of trying to make the Olympics?
I'm of the understanding that literally age is just a number. I know the best is yet to come. I'm 42. I have 3 babes. I have a husband who I adore. I have a new life in Tahoe. I'm creating my life as I go. Life is beautiful, period. And that's all the fuel that I need to get through this. My body feels amazing. But I think the biggest gift in all of this, is just, I told you, like I'm a free human being in my heart and in my spirit. And if you're an athlete and you're feeling free, you can be present. And if you're present, you can dominate. And so regardless of the fact that I turned 43 right after the Olympics. So I'll be 42 then.
Okay.
I love it. I really don't subscribe to the age thing. I realized how ignorant I was when I was 30, thinking that 42 would be old as heck. That's just ignorance. I'm ready.
So there are 60 minutes in every hour, and there are 24 hours in a day. And if you do the quick math, it gets you to 1440. And you've kind of turned that to a little bit of whenever life ends in the sports vein and starts in the businesswoman, inspirational phase, somebody who touches a lot of lives in a different way than you do right now. And even as you're still the athlete and the Olympian and all of that, can you just talk about P1440? What it is, what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to reach by doing this?
Yeah, well, Platform 1440, usually I have a child in between Olympics, but instead of having a child this time around, I became an entrepreneur.
All right, so you had to give birth to a business.
I did, and
Just
it's way harder. It's way harder, Mike. My gosh, like being an athlete, like living and dying by my own output is so easy compared to being an entrepreneur, where I have other people's timelines and people don't love my baby like I love my baby. Like it's been gnarly. But basically 1440 was founded to serve, to unite, and to elevate the sport of volleyball, indoor and beach, globally. And we've come a long way since our inception. Right now we're laser focused on the juniors community. Basically right now we have a digital suite of education where all of my 30 years in becoming who I am and, kind of hacking, there is no hack in life, but understanding what it takes to become excellence, we are sharing with the coaches, the parents, and the athletes. Because every single day, like you've talked to every, athlete around the world during the time of COVID, I talked to over 5,000 student athletes who were just desperate and so sad. And I had a lot of Zoom calls. And so with these Zoom calls, with people wanting guidance and nutrition and mindfulness and, sport training, we developed a digital suite where we can empower and encourage and guide these athletes to greatness within. And so it feels really powerful. For me, with regard to 1440, I learned that there are 1,440 minutes in the day in marriage counseling. And it was something that my husband he complains, he goes, babe, he goes, you give everyone your time, your heart, your energy outside of the home. And then when you come home to us, it's less quality. And Mike Gervais, who's my performance psychologist, and he was our marriage counselor at the time, he's like, you're worried about your 1440. And my husband and I are like, what the hell is that? And he's like, that's the minutes you have in the day. And it sounds like you're not honoring them. And so now as a family and as a company, 1440 is the filter through which we say yes and no to things in our lives. Because as you know, time is sacred. You know, if COVID has taught us anything, it's taught us what's important to us. And so now that we have the perspective, we know our priorities, we know we only have so much time, we want to empower and inspire the world to live in the moment. Because if you live in the moment, you can handle anything that comes your way, even COVID, you know?
Love it. I love it. In our few remaining of your 1,440 minutes of this day that you're sharing with us, and thanks for doing it. The Olympic movement in America, it's under a lot of change here. It's kind of adjusting. You're an athlete who's lived it. You've seen the positives, the things that we can improve. What are the couple of things that we need to do as a country over the next 2 or 3 cycles here to make sure that as we go forward, we've got a place for Olympians to grow and for Olympians to deal with the pressure and stress of what it takes to try to make and try to succeed in the Olympic space?
What a beautiful question. You know, I don't know if USA is the only federation that's not supported by their government, but we're the only federation in the world. So, you know, if you love the games, if you love your local athlete, putting action behind your priorities, behind your passions is important, you know, and that means showing up for your athlete and supporting them in various ways. I think over 70% of Team USA, they live under the poverty line. Like, people don't know that. You know, it's such a labor of love, this Olympic movement. It's so powerful and so beautiful. And yet these athletes are literally out on a limb by themselves, you know, just scratching and clawing to even get to the Olympics. So that's where my heart goes with this delay. It's like a lot of athletes had to suffer another year, you know, like trying to make ends meet, working 2 jobs and training to become the best in the world. And they're going to do it because challenges make you stronger. But as far as the Olympic movement here in the USA, it's just supporting it. You know, the USOC does a great job reaching out to the communities. Watch it on NBC. Again, get behind your favorite athlete. You know, with Adcraft, I love that, you know, you're nonprofit, and if your people don't show up and support you, you go away and all those services go away. And so if you believe in something, you show up for it. You know, period. Everything is energy. You give what you receive. And so if you know, again, if you love something, show up for it.
And I think we're all being challenged to that too, because we're understanding the economic realities of what's coming in the next few years. We need to start rebuilding a lot of the pillars of our country. I've been one of the few people who's been able to travel around. You start seeing the cities and you understand that it's very quiet. It's very different in a lot of our great cities in America. Every aspect of what we do is going to be challenged and tested here along the way. What's the roadmap like for you between now and Tokyo? Because one of the things that's happened is there's not been a lot of competition in a lot of the Olympic sports.
My gosh, Mike, I haven't competed since I think November of last year.
Crazy. Crazy.
Crazy. So I have less gray hairs in that respect.
Me too.
I miss it. Yeah. Well, you got a good haircut. You know, I love competing so much, and it is a different landscape. You know, there's a man he's become a personal hero of mine. His name is Jordan B. Peterson. And he talks about, he says, the antidote to chaos is personal responsibility and accountability. And you focus on what you can control. And I think that's a challenge for all of us when things are chaotic, when things are wonderful. You focus on what you can control because you literally can't do anything else about anything else. And so for me, I'm on a mission to be a ninja, owning every moment. You know, I have we're all made of the Olympic spirit in certain ways, but we have to recognize the greatness within us. And if we can just train ourselves to be present, whether it's a deep breath or if you have a morning meditation, which I highly recommend, whatever it is, if we can just be within ourselves, again, we can handle anything. And so moving forward, Mike, I'm just excited to take full responsibility for every area of my life. I'm here to create. I'm not here to regurgitate. I'm not here to try to relive what I did in 04, 08, 2012, 2016. I'm here to be the best I can be, and new things are going to be required of me. You know, I'm really looking at my potential as It's just, it used to piss me off, my potential. Now I look at it as, oh my gosh, there's room for improvement. It takes the pressure off.
Wait a minute. Didn't you reach your potential? I mean, you won 3 darn gold medals.
No, I would have retired. God, my potential pisses me off, but provoked to change. I'm so fired up. You know, I used to just feel less because I wasn't perfect. And now I'm just excited because my journey would be over the moment I feel like I reached my potential. Right. And I'm not ready for my journey to be over. You know, we all are made of the spirit that is undeniable, that is unflappable. And I want to encourage everyone to know that we're all capable of doing very hard things. You know, own it.
You just said something. So let's speak to the people who are in the advertising business, in the industry business, in the spaces here that support the advertising world, whether it's the big 3 or the other companies. Our friends at Quicken, who do a great job all the time, and at the Rock Group. A lot of people work on projects and crush it. I know there are some people on who were working with the PGA Tour event here in Detroit. And I'm on their giving board and have a chance to see them firsthand. And we were able to find, in a very difficult time, a way to raise more money than anybody thought for charity this year. So you're like, man, we crushed this. The Rocket Mortgage Classic crushed it this year. That's great. We reached our goal and then some. But then you get to the dangers that you were talking about, the dangers of having a goal. Now you got to reset it. What are you going to do to make it better? And I think the question I have for you in just that statement, that realization as you were talking is, you create a goal, you get there. Do you celebrate it? Do you appreciate the accomplishment? How do you prevent not tearing yourself apart by not being satisfied with what you did when you set out to do it?
Man, you have to celebrate the little wins and the big wins. You know, you have to give everything is so stressful. It's so hard. High five to you guys for thriving in a crazy, uncertain time. That's what we're all capable of doing every single day. But it gets like, did you guys all watch The Last Dance? Mike, I know you did. Like, I want to be Jordan. I want to get those 6 championships. He showed up every single day and he wanted the biggest target on their back. So for all of you guys living in these projects and being asked to do almost the impossible and thrive in these times, like, get curious about it. You know, like, step up, be fortified. I feel like I know this in my life. One of my favorite quotes, you cannot be a victim and a master at the same time. We're all victimized. But if you just be like, okay, this happened, I'm going to own it. Act as if I chose it, your entire system, your brain, the chemicals in your body, you stand up, you know, because you're like, I volunteer for this. This is what I'm dealt with. I'm going to go get it. And so it sounds like you guys did that with regard to the golf tournament. And It's just, Mike, you got to sign up for the hard parts in your life. That's what the masters do. That's what you do. I mean, you got to be nimble, adaptive, and you got to bring that energy of, I'm going to get it done.
I'm always fascinated by people like you because folks would check out. I got a gold medal. I got 2. I got 3. The world's good, and you keep coming back for more, which is what I love. So let me wrap up with this, Kerri. Here we are in October. The Olympics are 9 months away. And you start thinking about, okay, what's the world going to look like? What's training going to look like? What's competition? Are we going to get there? And every time you start asking one question, it gets another and another and another. If you crystal ball for me 10 months to the end of July, to August, mid-August, we've come through Tokyo. What will be the scenario that Kerri will walk away from this Olympic 4-year span, which is now 5? What will be the scenario that you walk away happy?
Mike, I'm really, really trying to not say gold medal or bust. But you know, Mike, like my goal, I keep having these epiphanies. My husband has been sober for 11 plus years, one day at a time, right? That's that mindset. When you want to win a gold medal, when you want to win in life, you have goals that are in the distance, but you live the journey one day at a time. Like, I'm literally trying to live as today's the only day I get. And if I can do that, fast forward to end of August 2021, I'm going to be satisfied with what happened and eager for more. And I want that beautiful combination for the rest of my life. Even when I retire from the Olympics, after I win in Tokyo 2021, I'm going to want to be satisfied yet eager. you know, and you do that because you're chasing things that mean something to you, that you have purpose behind them, and you love it, you know, and you believe in your potential. And so I want to live in that space. End results be damned, but if I'd live that journey right, then God help the rest of the world.
I love that 7-word phrase. That's a great 7-word phrase to take away from this time. Satisfied with what happened, eager for more. It kind of describes really, when you go back and read Kerri's athletic history, who she is as a person. You get a chance to visit with her. You understand that really, you know, after how many ever years you've been on this earth, I know the number, but I'm not going to say it. It just, I know.
Like I'm out of that bronze. Well, let me say, Abraham Hicks is where I got satisfied with now, eager for more. Law of attraction.
Okay. Good.
You get what you focus on, Mike.
And the great thing is, it's just like the advertising industry. Take a good idea, just form it into your own words, and now it becomes yours. So now I'm going to credit Kerri with the going forward. That's right. Exactly. See, perfect. Yep. There's nothing better than justification, right?
That's true.
I have so much fun talking with you, speaking with you, and it's not an interview, it's a conversation, which is what I love. There are very few athletes who are world-class athletes who are as open and as comfortable to have a conversation with. And every time you walk away, you're inspired. And the best choice I made today was to skip my walk outside workout for after this, because I made a conscious decision this morning. If I wait till after I talk to Kerri, I'm going to have a much better workout because I'll be inspired. Because that's what you do. That's what you do for all of us. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for a few minutes. And gosh, I can't wait to catch up with you. And hopefully we've got a date on the couch in the studio in Tokyo in August with you with a medal around your neck. That would be awesome.
Let's do it, Mike. God bless you. I love you, man.
Same here, Kerri. Best to your family, okay? Abby, thanks for letting us chat. We appreciate it.
Thank you both so much. I don't want it to end. This is definitely the best part of my day, and seriously, so inspiring. So on behalf of Adcraft and our entire board of directors, thank you both so much for taking the time. This exceeded my expectations, and I loved it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have just a couple of housekeeping items for everybody. Next week, we're going to be chatting with ESPN's Clinton Yates and Kelly Carter. So if you haven't registered yet, it's not too late. Please reserve your virtual seat now. And then finally, we're going to be kicking off a new webinar series called Agency Spotlight, highlighting the people that work in Detroit and make advertising great. And so please join us on October the 22nd as we hear from GTB's global CEO, Robert Gay. And registration is now open at adcraft.org. So again, Mike and Kerri, have a great day. Thank you so much. It was amazing. I loved it. And I'm now inspired to tackle the rest of my day.
Thanks, Abby. Bye, everybody.
Bye.